Welcome to Moto State Podcast, where we talk about motorcycles, life, and everything in between.
Well, I think part of it could be because those ridiculous mustaches are all the rage everywhere. And so everywhere you look, someone's got some sort of ridiculous mustache now. And so,
I mean, you say ridiculous, but all it was, it's the same thing 40 years ago, back in the 80s. Everyone had a Tom Selleck stash. So
yeah, but
I don't know. I don't think it's any different now. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's probably true. It's probably true.
The shorts are shorter. Hawaiian shirts have made a comeback. It's just complete fashion shit. It all recycles itself at some point, sooner or later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you saw it on like especially probably like the last 5 years, how there was a shift in like a seismic shift in paint colors for bikes. You know what I mean?
Oh, for
Like
sure.
it changed really fast. You know what I mean?
Well, I think colors, but also like just overall designs too, right? Like there's a definitely 80s pushing 90s feel to a lot of
Yeah.
whether it's the setup of it, it not all, but some,
Yeah.
or just like if you, I just immediately think of like Dream Rides and some of their bikes and others I've seen where the logos have an old school look to it, and a lot of more
Yeah.
seen a lot more Eagles again,
Yep.
but with a little bit more modern feel, but definitely a tip of the cap to an old school look. So
I think the other thing that people are going for right now is that um the stock custom look.
hmm
You know what I mean? So they want something that looks like it could have been stock, but
hmm
it's not. It's like more not quite as flashy, right? They're just
yeah,
the paint jobs are more subdued so that they could be, a classic paint job, but it's got a bit of a modern twist to it. You know what I mean?
and that's always been a favorite of mine. Like
Yeah.
I'm just not a flashy paint job kind of person. I would want it to look stock, maybe a different colorway or a slight variation, but to your point, someone
Yep.
not knowing that bike, that car, or that boat, whatever, like, oh, is that stock paint? No, but
Yeah.
close. So,
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of like the two-tone paint jobs, which I would agree. I think were probably pretty big in the 80s. You know what
hmm
I mean?
yep,
But I've always been a fan on bikes of two-tone paint jobs that are, to me that has a real classic feel to it. And
sure.
and what I like about those paint jobs is that they look good on a variety of um motorcycle styles, and they're not vendor specific. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like you can imagine a Triumph or a um pick your whatever company with like a two-tone paint job where they might have a cutout on the scallop on the tank that's a different color where the logo is,
Yep.
or the same scallops are on the fenders or whatever, right?
hmm
That those two-tone paint jobs to me just have a um real classic feel, and then you can put your own modern twist by using a variety of colorways that make it more modern, a modern color palette, but with that kind of classic feel. But
Yeah. Speaking of paint jobs, did you see Jace's Road Glide? And he
I
finished up his paint
did,
job.
I I,
Man,
I did, yeah.
I
I
would,
think,
early on those pictures of him putting it together, I was like, well, this is a classic Jace look, and it still is. Like you look at that paint job, he did it. Um, but the finished product, holy shit! I think that thing. A lot of people don't like green bikes. Man, I think he killed it. It looks good. The stance on that bike is mean. That is a really good looking motorcycle.
yeah, it was a strong paint job. I think he you can obviously tell he spent a lot of time and he figured out the lines, right?
Yeah.
Of where
hmm
the line from the fender that kind of matches the wraparound light, and then he followed that through to the tank, and yeah, um it's one of the paint jobs that he's done recently that I have liked. Some of his paint jobs I'm not I think they're too flashy for me. Not that
Right.
his paint jobs are bad. They're too flashy for me. Um, but this one I really like. I do. I think he kind of figured it out. He figured out that um, that paint scheme. I'm trying to think. One of my most favorite ones that he did was, I feel like it was either a Dyna or an FXR that he did a couple years ago. Um, that he didn't do a lot of work to it. It was like bags, wheels, and it was a purple bike. Um, and that's one of my favorite ones that he did. It was just a lot more, really a
Yeah.
lot more subdued, but you could tell when you looked at it that it was a Jace paint job.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks good. I'm still, back to what we're talking about. I mean, I'm still a basic paint way kind of guy. Like very few colors, nothing over the top. I think like I look at Springle's Road Glide. I think it's still for sale. The guy he does most of the paint work or all the paint work for Forever Rad. He's got a newer body style Road Glide that very old school like colorway and the white, gold, black. And man, it just I don't know. To me, it's a very good looking, non flashy. Could have been almost stock, almost paint job, but definitely paint scheme. So,
Hmm.
but anyway, paint. But well, hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to Moto State Podcast or
Absolutely.
McDonald Podcast. We'll be taking your order if you'd like to extra value size that meal and pull around to the second window. We have our headphones and we're ready to go. No, we're both not at home for this recording, so we got a little bit different backdrops and setups here. And I joked before we hit record was I feel like we're working at McDonald's and getting ready to ask you if you want a
Supersize that meal.
supersize or extra. I'd offer you an ice cream, but the ice cream machine never works, so whatever. Hey, I want to give a big shout out to Law Tigers Tennessee for their support and sponsorship of the podcast. We can't thank them enough. When the time comes, because it's going to probably happen to all of us, you get in a motorcycle wreck and you're injured, give Law Tigers a call at lawtigers.com, whatever state you're in. They're great folks at Tennessee. We've got to meet them. They're awesome. They know their stuff. They're riding. They understand the community. They understand what it's like from a rider's perspective. And more importantly, they understand the law. So give them a call. That first consultation's free. They're going to lay out how it works with you. They're not getting paid unless you get paid, guys. Call the experts in the field on this and when there's a time of need like that. LawTigers.com. Make sure you tell Luke and Ryan from Moto State sent you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this backdrop would be similar, obviously, to the one I've done a few times, but yours would be a new one for those of you watching on YouTube, maybe, or if you're watching through Spotify or whatever
Yeah.
version you use.
Yeah. And won't be long. It'll be a different backdrop altogether because I'll be moving here next month. So
Yeah,
be setting up the home office and slash studio. So can't wait to do that. But anyway, so I am in Nashville. I landed here yesterday afternoon. Be here through Sunday morning and then head on back up to St. Louis. But man, it was fun. Had a nice little this half day Sunday and half day Wednesday, full day on the bike Monday and Tuesday of this week. And I think when it's all said and done, I'll be just shy of 1,500 miles. But I took vast majority of the trip so far has been back roads, 2-lane back roads, or maybe a little bit of state highway. Very little interstate, like about 250 miles of interstate at this point. And man, it's been great.
nice.
It's been a lot of fun. Haven't had to dodge any wildlife. The roads have been pretty decent. But yeah, I ended up going north into Illinois. Went to the Psycho Silo Saloon up there, and then stayed. Yeah, I'm gonna call this the United Nations road trip.
Okay,
I have driven or stayed in Peru, Havana, Louisiana, where Atlanta, Detroit, Mexico, and Pocahontas. but they were all just cities in various states. But yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So it's been fun. Took a lot of back roads through Illinois, Missouri, hit parts of the River Road up in Illinois I never been through, so that was really nice and pretty, and through central Missouri, um, out of Mexico, Missouri, down into Arkansas, and just all back roads. It was a lot of fun. It was great. So it was much needed after a stressful couple of weeks. It was nice to get out on the road, clear my mind. But what I realized too, and nothing new, but if you got a lot on your mind, some stuff's weighing on you somewhat heavily. That can be a double-edged sword. You got to make sure you don't let yourself get into the what ifs or spiral or think too much into things. So, but it's been therapeutic. But through these rides, the last few days, it came to my mind. So I took my street glide on this venture.
Sure.
So earlier in the year, I took advantage from Tucker Speed and got some new front cartridges. They're +2. Didn't really want to go +2, but for the deal, I figured why not. And through that, I was also wanting to redo the bars, new bars, and have more of a T-bar type setup, which I accomplished. And through that, realized that my bars I need to push them forward more, but I can't because my windshield, the Memphis Shades, that design, it comes back. I'm running out of real estate, so I've ordered a new windshield. So now I gotta tear everything apart, push the handlebars forward. And through this with the suspension, now I'm wondering, do I need a fork brace? Because I'm getting a little more wobble than I have in the past. Not bad, but it's also sitting up 2 inches higher in the front or close to it.
Yep.
And so through all that, I'm like, I bought this really nice CVO 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And like everyone or most people, I've put a lot of money into it, changed a lot of things. But I change one thing, which requires me to change another or add something else and then add another fucking thing and then change this and I want to do this and this is the right grips and blah, blah, fucking blah. And it just made me think, are we overcomplicating our motorcycles? I mean, Harley puts out a great product and
Yeah.
maybe you need a better seat. Maybe you need better bars or different setup bars for the ergonomics. I get that. Maybe a different windshield for buffering. Got it. But beyond that, like we go down this rabbit hole
Mm-hmm.
of change one thing, which leads to 14 others, which leads to God knows how much money, right?
Yep.
And on the flip side, we all do this. And I'm generalizing. We all do this, but then you have a huge part of the population that complains about how expensive Harleys are. Yet that is not stopping anybody from going and spending another 10 or 15 grand putting into their bike.
Right.
So are we complicating this? Are we being hypocrites and complaining about the price of bikes, even though we're going to invest a lot more money into it? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. It's an interesting topic that you bring up, and here's I think how I'll say I think what ushered in, especially in the bagger market. Okay. I don't remember the year exactly. But the Street Glide as it sits right now is a fairly new iteration of a bagger, right?
In the grand scheme of things, yes.
In the grand scheme of things, they've had a batwing fairing for a really long time, but really they were full touring bikes with bags and packs and everything. And then you had guys that were stripping them down. When they stripped down the Street Glide and they sold it with just bags, not a top case, minimal lighting, no real minimal stereo stuff. When they stripped the bike down like that, they made the bagger cool again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then what happened is you showed up to your local bike night, and what did you have? You had black Street Glide, 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 you know what I mean? All the way down the row. And I think that ushered in this, some people might say performance baggers, whatever it is, but I think it ushered in this time of, we've always customized the Softail line or the Dyna line or whatever, there was always parts for those. I mean, go on Revzilla and type in the word Sportster and see how many
Sure.
things you can find for a Sportster,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I mean, there's
Or
literally
lowrider. Just type
yeah,
in lowrider.
yeah, or type in lowrider. But I mean, I went all the way back to Sportster because that was a the entry level bike that we all kind of got into, right? There was like, oh man, I mean, even on Harley's website, there was like 30 pages of
Wow.
crap that you could bolt onto your Sportster,
Mhm.
and I think what it was you had a lot of people that just didn't want like the Black Street Glide, the Me Too bike, right? Because because they all look the same. And I think that, we want ours to be cool and different and whatever. And so it it ushered in this whole industry of custom parts that it there was a period of time in Harley where if you had something custom on your bike, it had to be custom made,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
And now you can have a custom bike. I'm doing finger quotes here, custom bike, but all the parts are bolt on, they're plug and play.
Yep.
You're not welding and cutting and grinding and whatever to get these parts to fit. They bolt right up to the bike and they can give your bike a custom look. And I mean, I think about my Road King. I've taken I shouldn't even say 3/4, 90%. The only body part on my bike that's stock is the tank. And I took the emblems off it and put different emblems on it.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, so when you think about it from that perspective, yes, I think that we have overcomplicated it. Okay. I think there's a big difference between changing something out on your bike to make it more comfortable for you to ride versus changing out something on your bike. I'm going to go right to the meat of the subject. Exhaust pipes are not necessary.
Okay.
It's not a necessary change to your bike.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We all do it. We all love it, but it's not absolutely not necessary. And
Right.
there's really, people always say loud pipes save lives. I'm here to tell you that science of loud pipes saves lives, it doesn't work anymore because cars are way more noise proof than they ever have been at any other time in history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The old noise of what the car door makes when it closes. Listen to what a car door, like a modern car door, makes right now. You're closing out the world outside of it.
Sure. Yeah, it definitely seals and the noise protection dampening is significantly higher now than it's ever been in cars. I think there is some level of exhaust that help. So at some level, exhaust does help, but nowadays I think it's more shifted more toward lighting, right? You want people to see you coming down
To
the
be
road.
visible, yeah, for sure. But I mean, but in terms of whether it's necessary, right? There's very few things I think that we do to our bikes that are absolutely positively necessary. Now, if you buy a bike and you sit down and you take that stock motorcycle and you go for a ride and you're like, oh shit, this hurts my shoulders. Or in my case, the stock bars on the Road King, the hand grips like made my wrist turn out.
Yep.
And so putting T-bars on there or a T-bar style may push my hands forward like this and put my wrists in a more natural position, which was more comfortable for me to ride.
Yep.
It also, I went from having my hands spread far apart to bringing them closer together, which was, again, a more natural and comfortable position for me. Did I change the bars because they're cool? Absolutely. 100%.
Well,
Did I put on exhaust because it was cool? Absolutely.
Well, you changed the bars for ergonomics. The type of bars you chose, the specific brand and what they look like is for cosmetic reasons.
Was aesthetics. Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, like what I would say is like a necessary change on pretty much every motorcycle, but Harley's for sure, is a seat. Most of the seats are uncomfortable in some form or fashion, right?
The most comfortable motorcycle seat I've ever sat on, my 93 FXR.
Oh, really?
I could sleep on that sumbitch. That thing is ridiculously comfortable. And it's 20 or 33 years old. It's wild. Sorry to
Now,
interrupt, but it's
no,
super important.
but I think there's probably also something else to it. The size, the shape, the padding, everything for
Oh yeah,
that seat, it probably fits you perfectly, right?
sure. Yep.
Because I might get on it and think this is the worst fucking seat I've ever sat on.
Now I haven't put 400 miles a day on it. Like I might not be able to walk and feel like I got a hemorrhoid the size of this beer can when I get off
Right,
of it after 400 miles. I don't know, but
right,
I tell you, around town and a day trip on that thing, it's fantastic. But I
right.
agree. I mean, it's you know, I can tell you from and not this is no brag, just having a CVO, the stock seat you think might be better, it sucks like the rest of them. I mean, it's like the second thing I changed on that thing. So
Sure. And I think that what's always interesting to me is like I think that I don't think seats are universal. I think seats are also very personal. You know what I
hmm
mean? Like I personally have there's only one Saddleman seat that I've ever sat on that I thought was even remotely comfortable.
okay,
And it was a seat that my buddy put on his Heritage. I don't remember what it was called, but like the very popular Saddleman Step Up, I think they're incredibly uncomfortable seats.
mm, okay,
But I've heard of so many people absolutely swear by that seat, and that and I have heard a lot of people say that you buy a Saddleman, you have to ride it for 1,000 miles before it even
yeah,
before it's even remotely quote unquote broken in, right? But I also heard that like the Saddleman makes a seat for San Diego Customs,
hmm
and a buddy of mine bought a regular Saddleman Step Up, but then he bought the San Diego Customs one, which is different. San Diego Customs has a different style seat with a little bit different style backrest situation going on there, and he said the San Diego Customs seat was far and above better than the regular Step Up.
interesting.
So but I mean, so I think seating, as an example, do I think they need to be replaced? I do, but I also think that you're never going to find a seat like I think Bob. He has a Saddleman, like the touring. I think it's called the Road Sofa.
Yeah,
I think that's what he has.
that's what I have too.
Yeah, but he on his older bike, on his other bike, he had the Mustang touring seat,
hmm
and he said the Mustang was way more comfortable for him.
Interesting. Okay,
But I think it has to do with body type too. You know what I mean?
sure.
Size and weight of the person and all of those things, like how small or how big your ass is, or how fucking flat your ass is, or how bony your ass is, or how fucking big
How
it
many
is, whatever.
times you fart while you're
Yeah,
riding? You just
do
never know.
whatever, right? I
Wow.
think I think all of those things make a difference in a seat that you're going to find comfortable. I think the best option for every single person would be to find a dealership that deals in a variety of aftermarket seats and go fucking try one out. You know what I
Yeah, I was
mean?
gonna say I think the biggest challenge is with what I feel like is a necessity to change on these Harleys, seat and bars. And those are two things. Seat, you're more likely to find a demo. Am you okay? You all right? You gonna
Yeah,
make it? All right, all right.
I
So
think.
so the seat you can find some seats and you can find some windshields that you can demo. Not every dealership, but some. So that's great. But when it comes to bars, man, it's a hope and a prayer. Like,
Yep.
unless you can find a used one at your dealership with the certain kind of the exact bars on the bike you have, which good luck. Go buy a fucking Powerball ticket as far as I'm concerned. Maybe that works out for you. And to your point, like you said, your old bars, they hurt your wrists because of the pullback. Same thing. That's why I finally had to change. And went to and from having the T bars on my FXR, I loved. It was way more comfortable. So I wanted a similar setup for the Street Glide.
Yeah.
And so that was a choice because I was long multiple days on the bike. The outside of my wrists were hurting really bad. So it's not fun.
Yeah, I don't remember where I saw it, and I wish I could remember where I saw it. But one of the coolest videos that I ever saw about finding bars that would fit you is a guy took a yardstick,
hmm
and then and this was for a T-bar setup specifically, and he taped uh what did he tape on the bottom of it? The inside of a paper towel roll, like
Yeah.
the insides of it, and he taped like 3 or 4 of them together, so they were
Okay.
long, right? And then he set it on his nacelle, or his, his thing, and he held onto the yardstick. And then what he did was he was working with a friend, and he would cut the bottom of it until he found the height that he felt was comfortable.
It's a great idea.
And then he took the yardstick and he taped on the yardstick how far his hands were apart until he found a position that was comfortable. And then so he took those measurements and he started looking for bars that fit those measurements.
Smartest guy in the world right there. Good for him.
Yep. And I thought, hell, that was a genius move. But now that works specifically for a T-bar setup because he had the straight yardstick,
Right.
and then just the 2 posts coming down, right?
Yep.
So I do think there's something to be said. It's kind of like if you've ever looked on Clockwork's website for new windshields. Clockworks has a very distinct thing in there about what windshield height you should buy.
Yeah.
And they say you should sit on your bike with a friend and you take a tape measure and you measure. There's a couple measurements that you make, and they say that's the height that you should buy. And it gives you like the see over the windshield height, because there are people that want to look through a windshield.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good for them. I don't.
I don't either. I don't either. But there's this, because if you go, so there's a formula for it. And I don't remember what the formula is, but with the windshield height specifically, if you make it so that the wind hits right above your face shield, you're gonna get bobblehead. It doesn't matter what windshield company you get. It's gonna shake your head. It's gonna shake your head to death.
That sucks.
And so you have to get it so either it hits you like more towards your eye level, or below that, to make sure your head doesn't get shaking around. But if that wind hits the very top of, just above your top of your face shield on your helmet, it's going to shake your head around, because it has to do with how that vortex is created behind the windshield. That's what shakes your head around.
I would have guessed the opposite, right? Like, it hits here, then the design of the helmet should just keep it going, right? But not so much.
Yep. And I also found another thing too, that when I put lowers on my bike, it took the wind off my lower legs, but it created a terrible updraft.
Oh, okay.
That I did not have. And once I took the lowers off, that updraft was gone. And I actually, so there's things that you can do, that you can change the thing on your bike, and it might create a different problem too.
Mm-hmm.
That updraft created a problem that I didn't have before. And then the other thing, obviously it raised the engine temperature, because there wasn't as much wind getting by it.
Sure.
So I mean, yeah, to your point, we can add and subtract things from our bike that could create additional problems that we didn't have before. And for one of my buddies, on his bike, the lowers created an updraft that actually shimmied his front end.
Oh, fuck that.
So he ended up getting these other pieces that went right below his windshield.
Sure.
Or his fairing on the forks, that mounted to the forks, that took care of that issue.
What kind of bike was that?
One was a Heritage that he had a Heritage that he had a Batwing fender on it. But Bob had the same problem on a Limited.
Okay. Yeah, I know you can buy those extra like flaps or whatever you want to call them on there. So yeah, that's a real thing, and they obviously they try to solve for that with those parts. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm not dying on this hill saying you shouldn't be customizing your bike. It's your bike. It's your money.
Yeah.
Do what the fuck you want with it. Go buy some loud exhaust. Go do whatever, because Lord knows I have. I mean, I don't even want to know how much money I've spent on my Street Glide, and I really enjoy it. But I think you get for me, I got to a point where it's like, okay, I felt like I had a really good setup, and changing the front end, because I needed to change the front end. I needed to change out the suspension. It was time to do that. Upgraded that and went with a taller front suspension. I had to do something with the bars because, like I said, it was causing a lot of discomfort in my wrists. But now it's, like anything, like when I put a diesel motor and a 5-speed transmission in my Bronco, there was other things, trickle down effect, that I had to, figure out with that. And same thing here. And at some point, I think that for me, it just, you want sometimes it's nice to just get on a bike and go, right? And my bike's reliable, but I'm ready for it to be at that spot again, and that's where it's come from. And I think it got me thinking after we talked to Missy, we talked to Chris. They got those Royal Enfields, and they're like,
Yeah.
it's so great. We just get on and go. They're quiet. They sound like a typewriter. We just go, and I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. That's what I really like about that my '93 FXR. I mean, I will change things on it to make it more comfortable. Like those buckhorn bars are awful, but I mean, it's nice to just get on that thing and ride. Don't have to worry about
Yeah.
anything. It's all stock. Just go. Here we go.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I remember, I think it was Jace said on one of his podcasts that I was listening to a while back. When he did his trip to Louisiana, and he met a bunch of these guys from the Hog chapter, and he said there was this group of riders that rode together, and they were like husband and wife and son and whatever.
Yeah.
And he said they had put 60, 70,000 miles on their bike just that year when he met them. And he said their bikes were bone stock.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They had done nothing to them. They bought them, they rolled them out to the showroom floor and rode the piss out of them, and they'd done nothing to them.
Yeah.
And I found that to be interesting in the idea. It's really kind of this scenario where when you brought up, hey, what about just keeping it simple and not doing these things to your bike? And that made me think a little bit. And then, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but when I bought my Pan America, every change I've made to that bike has been functional. I have done nothing to it that's been aesthetic. Nothing at all.
Sure.
Everything has a purpose or a reason to have been done. And that feels so much different than doing something for an aesthetic purpose. You know what I mean? Like when you change out like the floorboards and everything on your
faster,
bike,
or a performance piece of it too, right? Like make it faster, open it up.
Yeah. It's like when you change out the floorboards on your bike, you change them out. It didn't ride any different. It doesn't ride any different than it did when you had them on there, right? So you just spent $600 on floorboards and nothing changed. You know what I mean? Yep. You did it for completely an aesthetic purpose. Yep. They look cool. They have a great design. They match whatever you're trying to do to your bike, whatever aesthetic you're going for. But what purpose do they serve? None whatsoever.
Sure.
So I do, unless you like took them off and changed them to mid controls, right? To me, that's different because there's a functional
absolutely
reason to have done that, right? Or whatever. So I mean, I think there's changes that you can do that change the aesthetics of your bike that also serve a function.
Yeah.
And then there's times we do things to our bikes just purely because we think it's cool.
Absolutely. No doubt. Let me ask you this. If there was as many aftermarket parts for the Pan Am as there was the Sportster, 30 fucking pages on Harley's website.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd have taken a different approach?
Well, I'm still kind of in that, right? Because I mean, I'm in that honeymoon phase. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do to it and what purpose it serves, right? I don't know. I guess I don't know. It would depend on if there was like a whole line of parts that made the bike look different, that made it look cooler, that made it like there's one thing I wish that they would sell, and maybe they still do. And if people are out there are listening or they know about it, please put it in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram. I would like to change the lenses on my front lower lights, and I would like them to be yellow, because that cuts through the white light. So if I were to ride in the fog or in night, it cuts down the white light, and you actually get you see better. So when you see like the LP6 lights that people have, and they have the yellow lens or the white and yellow lens, there is actually a functional purpose for that.
I've seen a couple of Pan Am's, the fog lights are yellow. Now, I don't know if they were factory or not. I can't answer that, but
Yeah,
I've
I
seen.
don't know. I have two. I don't know either, but like I'm just wondering if some company doesn't sell like a piece basically that just snaps on, because it's just
Yeah,
a lens cover that I need, because I have all the external lighting on the front of it
sure.
because the Limited has everything, but I'd like that on there. But I think that the theme of all this, and kind of I think what you talked about and what we talked about, was like I do think there's room now with how expensive bikes are getting, that keeping it simple might be the next jam. You know what I mean? Um, to not go to the nines
Sure.
with the motorcycle, or is going to the nines even necessary anymore? You know what I mean? Because the bikes really are getting more and more and more complete. Like, to me, the most complete bike that Harley has put out in recent memory is the Road Glide ST.
Sure. Absolutely. Well,
It had a
and now this.
carbon fiber front fender, had a
Yep.
carbon fiber exhaust. It had a carbon fiber cowl on the back portion by the back seat.
Mhm.
I mean, that bike was built
Yep.
straight away. There was really nothing that needed to be done to it at all, truly.
Yeah. Well, and you've heard how many people have you heard that said even just the new Street Glide Road Glides that have a 117 or a 121 in it. Like, listen, throw some exhaust bar seat on it and be done. Like, you've got a complete bike that hauls ass.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
even that, like, that's in this day and age, that's incredibly minimal. But I hear you. Like, you buy a Road Glide ST, or don't they have a Street Glide ST? Now? Maybe not. I don't know. But
They had one for a hot
or
minute.
a
I don't know
CV.
if they're
Well, you
still
were talking about the
making.
CVO ST, right?
I think that was the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there's two directions here. You can go ahead and spend the money on the front end, get a CVO ST, and do nothing to it. Or I mean, maybe exhaust. I don't know what those things sound like, but whatever. Maybe you do need bars. I hear you. But the suspension on it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's LED and has been for years with
Mm-hmm.
lighting. Or you know, and I still think Harley's going to go this way at some point. They're going to give you a stripped down basic bike, and then
Mm-hmm.
then put the money into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, people are still going to bitch. They're always going to bitch about something. But if you can get, if what's in, I guess at the end of the day, what's that magic price? Can you get a $23,000 bagger that has the basics and necessities, and then build it yourself? So then you've got, call it almost 40 grand or 40 grand into a bagger that's set up just like, or very similar, maybe without the carbon fiber of that CBOST. Want to take a moment to thank Tab Performance for supporting the podcast and being our very first sponsor. It means the world to us. Check out everything they have to offer at tabperformance.com. I know you're thinking exhaust, and absolutely, they build some great exhaust systems. They also have handlebars, tuners, cams, and not just for your Harley, but also for your Indian, Yamaha, and off-road vehicles. Also, don't forget to check out Kyle running in the King of Baggers, number 78, wearing the bright yellow neon boots, running around that track real fast.
Yeah. If they made a bagger, like, I'm just gonna say Road Glide, because that
Mm-hmm.
would be what I would be interested in. If they made a Road Glide that had the infotainment system in it, like, the larger screen like the new ones have,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing else. I don't want a sound system. I don't want a single speaker or amplifier on that bike, because I want all that weight taken out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I want all of that gone. Even if you had extra compartments in there or whatever it was, um, take all that crap out. You know what I mean? And that would interest me. Just a blank slate of a bike, because the new designed Road Glides are a top clamp right on the top of the tree, so the bars are very easy to change out now.
Yep. Yep.
You know, um, to me, like, that's a winning formula right there. That would make a difference for me. That would make a difference if I thought about getting another bagger. Um, having taken my Pan America on a long road trip, an ADV style bike is the new bagger, man. I mean,
Sure.
it really like, and I watched a video where Matt Laidlaw kind of goes into they compared a Pan America Limited to a Road Glide. And he said, if you're looking for A, B, C, and D, get this bike. If you're looking for A, B, C, and D, get this bike. And he kind of made a direct comparison between the two, because the Pan America Limited is, for all intents and purposes, is a bagger.
Mm-hmm.
It has hard side cases on it.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I treated it when I went on this road trip. No different than, I didn't go off road. 99.9% of the time, that bike was on pavement for this road trip I went on. I mean, I took it off road literally. It was on dirt twice on that trip, and once was a pull off and once was intentional to take a picture on a cliff.
I mean, it's a bagger, but but your setup, like where you sit and all that, is completely different. I hear you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that
It's like a sport touring bike is how it was set up. Is how it feels.
I mean, I would say a lowrider ST is closer to the Road Glide than your Pan America Limited with the bags, just because you're sitting in it. You got a fairing, a bigger
Yep.
fairing, you know, and take the looks out, not just the traditional, but functionality, like how you sit, mid control. I mean, granted, the ST has mid controls, but you can easily put front controls on that. You're not doing that on that ADV, on that Pan America, right? So it's
Yep.
but yes, you're gonna be able to put as much shit in those bags as you would a bagger on a Pan Am. I don't disagree with that, but it's going to take a completely different rider where you can plug and play a bagger rider to an ST.
Yep.
In a heartbeat.
The biggest difference I noticed on a long road trip is that with the suspension on the Pan America is far superior. There's so much more travel that I was way less affected by bad roads. I wasn't affected by bad roads at all. If I got on a bumpy road or a shitty road, I felt nothing. That had no effect on me whatsoever, because it was so
for that. For that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. So going over railroad tracks, hit a big dip in the road, none of that shit has any effect on the Pan America.
Fuck, I needed that Monday and Tuesday, going down fucking river roads and back roads along the water, and I don't know if it was just the way they laid the pavement, but it was like every third to half a mile there was a little hump, just a little bitty hump. Man, I'm pretty sure my colon still hurts. Like it sucked. So
yeah, you come off of those things pissing blood because your kidneys have fucking smashed.
And I mean, listen, I got good suspension, but I mean, I you would have to have, I don't know what you'd have to have, but something really fucking nice to deal with that, because it's one or two bumps, but I'm talking miles and miles of this shit every half a mile. Yeah. It sucks. So anyway. Yeah. No, that makes sense though. I mean, I'm sure I didn't think about that, but I bet it was really comfortable to ride with that suspension on whatever road.
It makes a huge difference. But I mean, going back to what we were kind of our topic that we were discussing, I think that you could lower your barrier of entry if you thought about the things on your bike that you want to do, that you need to do. You know what I mean? Like you said, take a piece of paper and put want and need on there and decide what things you really need to do. Do the things that you need to do. They should be at the very top of your list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you said, bars and a seat to get your ergonomics squared away, and then ride it. You know what I mean? If you're one of those people that can't live without an exhaust, put an exhaust on it.
And also go visit tabperformance.com and make sure you get your exhaust from them.
Absolutely. I mean, you you can get, I mean, let's be honest. You can go to Tab Performance and just buy a muffler.
Yeah.
A slip-on muffler, take the end of your pipe, leave your stock Harley head pipes on there, get a slip-on muffler and get all the sound you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
You know, it'll completely change the way that your bike sounds. So, you know, from that perspective, it would, you know, it'll solve that problem for you. But you can save yourself a ton of, because thinking about that, do you remember when we did that podcast a while ago? We talked about the new models and they had that black and teal bike.
Yeah.
Perfect example. right? That bike has a very cool paint job right off the rip. You could put bars, a seat, and a slip-on tab exhaust, and that motherfucker is ready
Yeah,
for 150,000 miles
absolutely.
all
Yep,
day long. And
all day long.
you don't need to fuck with anything else.
Speaking of those, real quick, how many of those have you seen in the wild?
None.
Me either. But I mean, I've been to the dealership enough this year where I saw them and they were gone real quick.
Mhm.
It's just weird. It's
Yeah,
so
I haven't
strange.
seen one yet. Yeah,
Anyway,
I they're going to be all over Sturgis though, right?
oh, I'm
You're gonna
sure.
see them this year because I remember when they changed the body style, and I had the same question. How many have you seen? Then we went to Sturgis, and they were fucking everywhere.
Oh yeah, for
Like
sure.
every third Street Glide was because that's when I fell in love with the bags. When I got to see the shape of the bags
Mm,
in person, I was like, oh, these motherfuckers are slick looking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
So
and to think about it, that was only 3 years ago. Crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I do. I really think that the next bike that I get, I think I'm gonna. I feel like I should say the next bagger that I get because I may get one more bagger. Um, I feel like that would be a focus of mine would be to focus more on really finding a bike that I love the color of it. That I
Mm,
just really fall in love with the paint job, and then whatever I do to it is going to be super simple, like you said, bar, seat, and an exhaust, and then I'm over it. Then I'm just going to put on miles. You
yeah,
know?
sure. I get it. Yeah, I contemplated that a lot this trip too. Like, what's next? And yeah, I'm having all kinds of troubles with my knees, and that's not anything new, but I think I've screwed both up again, and we'll need to go to the doctor, and so we'll see what that looks like. But it could be sooner than later that I migrate to a lighter bike like an ST or something, just to help
Yeah.
myself out for the long haul. Because I could put a tour pack on an ST and do everything I do now on my Street Glide. I hope that's not the
Hmm.
case. I'm not ready to get rid of that bad boy yet, but time will tell. Um, but yeah, those are also fun things to think about too. Like, ooh, what's the next bike gonna look like?
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that we would be I would be a little bit remiss to say that I think there are a number of people that enjoy the customizing of their bike just
hmm
as much, if not more, than the riding of their bike.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
absolutely, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
I think those people are like your bar hoppers, your weekend warriors that they get as much satisfaction out of customizing their bike and kind of quote unquote making it their own and then bringing it to bike night and showing it off. Um, as they do like putting on miles. And for me, and it really I really thought about it a lot more on this trip that I was on, especially when I was on the solo part of the trip, is that if you ride your bike solo, okay, just you and the motorcycle and none of your friends are there, um, what your bike looks like, how much you've customized it, how, you know what I mean? None of that shit even matters, right?
Yeah.
Because you're out of there in the middle of nowhere on the road somewhere. And at that point, what do you want? You want reliability, you want comfort, you want a lot of things,
hmm
but whether or not you put $800, you know, floorboards on there doesn't mean shit because no one's out there to look at them anyway,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so really, and I think that's how you view your bike, you know? I view my motorcycle as the means to the adventure. My bike's not the adventure. The adventure is where my bike's going to take me or what I'm going to see or whatever, you
For
know?
sure. And I think that I don't disagree with you. I think that there's a plenty of people out there that prefer or enjoy customizing more than miles. I think that there's probably a strong percentage of those people who don't have the ability for whatever reason, time, money, physically, whatever, to put those miles on. So it's their way to stay engaged.
Hmm.
Right. And and
Oh,
and
yeah,
and,
for
and that's
sure.
great. Yeah,
Yep.
totally get it. Totally get it.
Hmm.
Um, but I also think that there's people that's just in their DNA. That's what they've always done. I've
Yep.
never not owned a car that I haven't changed out a stereo, tinted the windows, exhaust, or not all of those things on every car, but of some sort. I've done something. I've considerably changed things on every car I've owned,
Hmm.
somewhere along the way. So
And I think because of that's wired into our DNA as men, there's a whole industry devoted to aftermarket whatever, right? Aftermarket parts, aftermarket,
oh yeah,
for cars and trucks and Jeeps, and there's markets for all of those things, right?
oh
So
yeah,
I don't think that there's, I mean, look at the aftermarket market or market for parts for like the Tacoma, and the Tundra
the Forerunner,
and
the
the Forerunner
Jeeps,
and then Jeeps.
Broncos.
They're a whole industry on them on themselves.
Yep.
Broncos, yeah, I mean that's a whole industry by itself, right? And then you have all the camping stuff that you can get for vehicles and things like that. So I
Yeah.
mean, I completely understand and connect to and get that part of it for sure. Um, and I don't there truly is nothing, um, there's nothing remotely wrong with any of it.
Hell no.
Um, I just think that with a little bit of perspective, and I don't know, maybe it's age, maybe I'm shifting in my thought process of how I'm viewing my motorcycle or viewing my adventure or whatever, in terms of I now like it's this weird thing where I get I get it just as much of a how would you say, just as much of an influence or
Rush,
not a rush, but I
satisfaction.
not when no like when you're influenced by somebody, when you're
Hmm.
inspired.
Okay.
Okay, I feel just as much inspiration when I see a picture on Instagram of a custom bike, like a custom, like when I was looking, when I like a Road King or a Bagger or
Hmm.
whatever, right? I feel just as much inspiration by that as when I see a Pan America or a touring bike that's just fully loaded down for adventure.
Yeah.
Bag strapped on there, all the shit ready to go. Somebody's taking a picture and they're all fucking geared up. Like I feel just as much inspiration by something like that.
Sure.
I'm thinking of Whit Mesa when she went to Montana and she rode
Yeah.
her Pan America and she had it all, had it all kitted
Loaded
out
out.
and,
Yeah.
and loaded up. And Amy explores, right? She was just leaving Canada to go down to Sturgis,
Yeah.
and she posted a thing, and her bike was all packed down. And I feel just as much inspiration by seeing those kind of pictures now on
Yeah.
Instagram, as I do a fully customized bike. And so, because I think for me, it hits me, and I always and it gets my wheels turning. Like, what kind of adventure are they going to experience?
Yep.
Because their bike is fully loaded down and they're going somewhere. You know what I mean? Versus seeing a picture of a bike that's custom painted and in a nice backdrop or in the city somewhere or whatever it is. Not that I don't get an inspiration from that, but I get much more of an inspiration from seeing a bike loaded down, ready for adventure, than I do just a cool picture of a bike in a
Yeah.
setting.
Hey, I got inspired twice on this road trip because I passed like 80s model Gold Wings that were completely factory, and I was like, dude, if you're still rocking I don't know whether they're on a trip or not, I don't know, but if you're still rocking a 40-year-old bike or however old, 35-year-old bike and just ripping down the road, hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Just
Yeah.
and those talk about keeping it simple, man, they're just cruising down the road and, a 35, 40-year-old Goldwing. It was awesome. So,
Yeah. I mean, if I ever got a gold wing, I would immediately go to my local store and buy some bright white New Balance tennis shoes at the same time.
yes. Hey, I was this close from an 85 or no, 82 Goldwing. Real close earlier this
And
year. I
and
wish I
most of
had bought it.
those,
Wish I
like
bought it.
literally most of them, you find them, you change the tires, you change the oil, and you get a brake service, and most of them are fucking
Yeah.
runners, right, ready to
Clean
go.
clean out all four carbs and you're ready to roll, man. Yeah,
Yep.
this thing was solid. I should have bought it. Anyway, whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, it's like I said, I think that it's the adventure, and And I think every road trip that I go on that's a little bit different from one I've done in the past gives me another form of inspiration, or another form of changes that thought process, or shifts that thought process a little bit in my brain.
Sure.
you know so yeah, I do think that there's room in my life for sure to simplify some of those things, but I also think that my life in general, that's a thought process that I've been thinking about for about the last 2 years.
Hmm.
When you're, I don't know, maybe it's when you reach a certain age, but I'm thinking about, downsizing my home, simplifying my life, having less things,
Hmm.
focusing on experiences and those kind of things much more than collecting goods. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm in the process of doing that myself. I've decluttered and got rid of so many things, and I'm simple. My goal the next 4 years is simplify my life as much as possible. Enjoy, my daughter's next 4 years of school. And then she'll go off to college. I'll probably be moving to Tennessee, and so I just want to make the most of that with her over the next 4 years. And there's a lot to be said for that. And maybe that's age. Is just a journey. This is where I'm at in my journey in life, and that there's no age requirements for that. That just happened to be where I am right now. Um,
Sure.
and I just want to be clear. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here at all, and I'm not,
Me
because
neither. Yeah.
listen, I've spent way too much money in the aftermarket on cars and motorcycles to ever say don't do this. I'm not insinuating that at all. What I'm saying
Yep.
is that it's just something to think about. Can you simplify? Or if you're at the point where you can't ride because you've swapped out so many things, and you gotta adjust this, tweak this, and it's cutting in significantly into your riding time, then ask yourself, is it worth it?
Right.
It's all of those things worth it. Maybe cut it back a little, because at the end of the day, most of us have bought these motorcycles to ride, and
Yeah.
so get out there and ride them.
So before we close it down today, I do have a question for you. So you mentioned, potentially for health reasons or whatever, that you might trade in your bagger for an ST, because it'd be like a mini bagger but a much lighter
Hmm.
thing. You can get it, like you said, you can get a top case for it. Would you be satisfied if you got an ST to change the bars and the seat and the exhaust? Obviously, get a top case for it, because you want
Hmm.
to. Let's go full bagger, right? So get a
Yeah.
top case for it. Would you be satisfied to be done, to just ride it at that point, to be done? No cam, no
I
air
would not. I
cleaner,
would not. I
no.
would not. I
Okay.
would not. Because here's the reality. If I went and bought an ST today, it's got a 117. So does my Street Glide. I
Yep.
rode that Street Glide before the cam and a cleaner and a 2-into-1, and I've rode it after it. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I really like the way it rides after you've done all those things. So I would do
Okay.
that because it would, for me, it would make the ride more enjoyable.
Sure.
That has nothing to do with functionality. It's just the need for speed, to be louder, to have a lope. So call that aesthetics or whatever, ego. That's fine too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but also, I mean, it's just for me, it's more enjoy. Since doing that 3 years ago, I've had more fun riding that motorcycle in the last 3 years than the first 2 years I rode it, because of those things. So
Yeah.
now, is it something that I feel like I have to do right away? No. Bars, seat, windshield, those things. Yeah, I don't know if those come with they're mid controls. If they come with pegs, I would put mini floorboards on there for comfort, just like I did my FXR. Those things would happen first. That's where I would spend my money first. That would be the priority.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and there you go. Like we said it.
Yeah.
Is keeping it simple a reality, right? And
Hmm.
then turn around and say, yeah, but I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Listen.
yeah, we're posing the question, right? We're
Hmm.
posing the question because I think we have one thing. We both have these similar situations. You talked about your '93 FXR, which has almost nothing done to it, and how
Yeah.
enjoyable it is to ride,
Yeah.
right? I have a Pan America, for all intents and purposes, which is stock. I have
Hmm.
put 3 things on that bike. For all intents and purposes, it's stock. I don't intend on doing anything custom on that bike or anything aesthetic on that bike. Everything everything I do to that bike is going to have a purpose, a functional purpose, or it's not going on the bike.
Yeah.
That's 100% of my thought process with that motorcycle. Is will it function?
Yeah.
Will it serve a function or a purpose for comfort or safety or whatever? And if not, it's not going on there.
But today, but a year from now, if you change your mind, that's okay too.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's
Yeah,
just want to make sure to reiterate
Yeah.
the point, beat a dead horse at this point. But like, you can change your mind anytime you want to.
Yeah. And like the right now, the biggest thing I'm looking at is Clockwork's windshield.
Sure.
I think the stock windshield on it's a little bit flimsy, and the Clockwork's windshield has a different shape. And we all know that the Clockwork windshields are purposefully designed to create more downforce on your front end of your motorcycle, which makes it more stable. And the Pan America is lighter than my other bike, and so it's a little bit,
It sits
can
up
feel
higher?
a little bit. Yeah, sits up a lot higher.
Yeah. And I hate getting rid of my Clockworks, but with these bars, that's what I got to do. And it's that or traditional T-bars, which I wouldn't have to get rid of the windshield, but I'm going to cut into the dash. I'm not going to, and replace the lock, and I'm just not doing it. That's
Right.
Again, there's a great example of the trickle down effect. Like, I'm thinking it's cheaper to replace a windshield than it is to do all that other shit. So that's just, it is what it is. But
yeah, for sure.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully, at least made you think. I wonder how many people are listening to this or watching it and talking to their car radio, talking in midair as they listen to it on their AirPods, or yelling at the TV at us, saying we're a bunch of dumbasses because we should be changing everything on our bikes. But I don't. Whatever. Tell us what you think in the comments. Let us know. What's too much? What's not enough? Should we be changing anything at all? What's your favorite thing to change on every bike? And what's been your biggest mistake? Wish you hadn't changed. That'd be interesting to hear. So.
And I think new to our merch store, coming in for a fall shirt design, we're gonna have a shirt that's gonna say "Keep it simple" on it.
Keep it. There it is. News to me. Had no idea. Here we go.
You like that? You like that shirt idea? Hit us up in the comments. But Luke has been the author of most of our shirts, and I want to put one out that says "Keep it simple." So
it's about time you did something. Jesus Christ, man! God,
I got to bring something to the table. I mean,
well, I'm still waiting for it. Hey, just kidding. Let's go.
Whoa.
Thank you very much. Hey, speaking of shirts, picked up the new Shifter Crew shirt. Well, it was the newest until about a week ago. I think they just released another one yesterday, but it says quality over quantity. And it's something I've always said for a long time, so I appreciate that saying. So I picked that up from them and picked up a set of their gloves, and they're solid gloves. So Taylor and the crew, nice job, guys. That's some good stuff. So appreciate y'all keeping me clothed and my hands nice and safe on this trip. We'll tune in next Monday. Have no idea what we'll be talking about or if we even have a guest, but we'll be here and we'll be recording, running our mouths about something. Let us know what you think about the T-shirt. We'll roll that out here shortly. And for everyone heading to Sturgis, in Sturgis, heading back from Sturgis, depending on when you listen to this, y'all roll safe and be careful and have a good time and drink a beer for us. So until next Monday, guys, we'll see you later.
Peace.